Welcome to Sports Talk with RKJ. I'm your host, Steve Risser, along with my co-host, Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli. And the World Series is underway, and the biggest story is Juan Soto, who was outstanding last night. The first player to get 3 hits in a World Series game. The youngest player to get, the youngest player to get 3 hits in a World Series game since Andrew Jones in the '96 World Series. We know Joe Aguirre knows all about that World Series. It's probably his favorite World Series.
Oh yeah,
but Juan Soto was outstanding last night. Got 3 hits off Garrett Cole. Had that big home run in the 4th. Had that big 2-run double in the 5th inning. And I mean, Garrett Cole wasn't great last night. Gave up 5 runs in 7 innings. Scherzer was decent. He went 5 innings, gave up 2 runs. And the Nationals ended up holding on to win 5-4. I think the biggest takeaway in this series, though, is the Nationals. I think yes, the Nationals won this game, but I still think the Astros win this series because the problem is there's really 2 pitchers in the Nationals bullpen, Doolittle and Hudson. Outside of that, the Nationals bullpen's not good at all. They had to use Patrick Corbin in the 6th inning because they needed a starter. In the 6th inning because they needed a guy to pitch out of the bullpen. So, I think that the Nationals have a chance to win the series, but I still think the Astros are going to win the series in 5 or 6 games, even though the Nationals won last night.
Yeah, I'm going to pull the string. I know game 1 was last night, the Nationals won, but I was really debating about this. I really think the Nationals have I'm worried about the bullpen, though. So I'm going to take the Astros in 7. I think if the Nationals had 1 or 2 more relief guys in that bullpen, I think they definitely could. I think they definitely have a great shot. They still do, but I just think it's that middle relief where they probably may have to use starters a couple nights.
Yeah, don't get tired later on in the series.
Yeah, and
that's probably what the Astros are betting on.
Yeah, and because they did a great job grinding out Max Scherzer last night, making him throw 112 pitch in 5 innings. That's what you want to do against this Nationals pitching staff. Get those guys out of the game and get their bullpen into it because we know they're not great. And then Ryan Zimmerman, too. I know he hit the first home run. He was actually the first player that the Nationals ever drafted when they came over. So
yeah, he's been on that team forever.
Oh, yeah. So pretty cool for him. But the Nats, that's a huge game. And I know they had that really hang on after that 5-2 lead. Because if they lost last night, this series would probably be over in like 5. But they held on. You got to go up against Verlander tonight. And then Springer, too, with his 5th straight home run in a World Series game.
But here's the thing about Springer. He should have been on third base last night after he hit that double to make it 5-4. He's got to be on third base because I'll tell you, you could argue that Altuve's fly ball to right field that could have tied the game. So he has got to be on third base on that play.
What he said, and I kind of understand, is that when you saw the Tucker guy, they were saying he should have essentially been at least 2/3 of the way to third.
Yeah, he
was standing on second. Mm-hmm. So you're probably I think he kind of like Ronald Acuna a little bit. Yeah. Like he kind of felt himself and was like, oh, this is the big moment. Like let me showboat. But at the same point, I kind of put a little bit on I'm not sure what his first name is, but I'll put on Tucker a little bit because you need to be leaning more towards third there because I think that kind of throw, because when that happened I thought, oh wow, he should score easily. And obviously like when you're watching a game live, you can see where he is. And then they're throwing it home like they actually have a chance, and I was like, what? And then obviously they show the replays and it's right there. So I'm giving Tucker a little bit of a blame, but yeah, I couldn't very easily, if he was there at third, there's a very good chance that could end up being a tied game.
Yeah, and who knows what happened after that moment.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is that could have been a tie game, but the biggest thing is I just don't think Garrett Cole was good last night, and Juan Soto was outstanding. I mean, Soto right now 20 years old. Think of the possibilities of Juan Soto. He's 20 years old, being great in the World Series. He had a really good year too. 34 home runs, 108 RBIs. I don't think the Nationals miss Bryce Harper because this is the next young star in baseball.
No, they don't. I think Soto's going to end up being better than Harper. I think he's a better contact.
He definitely has that possibility. That's for sure. So, it's talented.
Yeah, and it's like, why pay Harper? You just got another kind of better player coming up. But yeah, Garrett Cole was not good, and he wasn't even good at Yankee Stadium in game.
Justin. He pitched 7 shutout innings, okay, against the Yankees lineup. That's a great start.
All right. It was a pretty good start because he
pretty good. Come on, he was great.
No, he was good. But I think the problem was the Yankees could have easily knocked him out of that game. They just didn't get that big hit. He did come up big when he had to with the bases loaded every time. But the Yankees had plenty of chance to knock him out with the 5 walks. I feel like that was way too many for him. And he gave up 4 hits, which was pretty good. But the Yankees could have knocked him out easily.
Yeah, because didn't they have runners on second and first for like the first 4 innings or something like that?
Yeah, but Garrett Cole, that's why he's a great pitcher. He gets out of those jams.
I know, but he kept giving them the thing like that whole start against the Yankees was dangling on the edge of becoming this.
Yeah.
Problem is, the Nationals came through. The Yankees didn't.
They have more contact here than the Yankees were.
That's the thing. That's why the Yankees, for the love of God, get some contact. Not everyone trying to hit it 450 on 0-2
Also,
counts.
they need a number 1 starter. That's another thing. And I would love them to have Garrett Cole. I don't care how he pitched last night. I would love them to have Garrett Cole.
Me too.
If whatever he costs, I don't care. Get it.
That means probably no Didi, but I love Didi.
I wouldn't mind seeing Didi walk, to be honest.
I love Didi, but it would be tough. But
he's the hometown guy. But look at it this way: if you lose him, okay, DJ plays second, Glaber plays short. I'll take it.
And you have Andujar coming back, so
yeah. Honestly, with Andujar, him or Gio, because I'm picking Gio 100 times right now out of 100. Because his hitting, okay, maybe you lose a little less in the hitting department. You know, I feel it's up for debate. But, I mean, I know we constantly harp on the fielding. But, like, look at how good Gio is in the field. Would you rather lose a slight bit in batting and gain a ton in fielding? Or would you rather gain a slight bit in batting in terms from Andujar, but lose all fielding, essentially? So that's why I feel like the Yankees got to look at it. If you don't get Garrett Cole, he signs big money, let's say LA with the Angels, trade for someone, like something, please, because you have a lot of pieces. You need to start wheeling and dealing and start using those pieces instead of hanging on, because you keep hanging on for a while, the shine's going to get off of those, and now you're going to be stuck with nothing.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we'll look a little bit further into this World Series, and we look at tonight's game with Justin Verlander against Steven Strasburg, and I think this could be in must-win territory for the Astros. And Verlander did not pitch. I mean, yes, he settled down, but he did not pitch well against the Yankees in Game 5. Strasburg has been outstanding in the postseason, so this is going to be a really important game for the Astros to win, and I think they win it tonight. I think Verlander bounces back and pitches really well at home. I think Strasburg pitches well too, but I think the difference again, and I think what's going to end up being the difference in the series is going to be the bullpen. That's why I think the Astros win tonight. And then you look at Game 3 with Greinke and we don't know. Corbin is scheduled to start Game 3, but with him pitching an inning of relief last night, we don't know what's going to happen there. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see where Dave Martinez goes in Game 3. But I definitely think the Astros win, even though Strasburg is pitching, he's been great in the postseason. I think the Astros win tonight.
Yeah, I think this is like 2-1, maybe Nationals going like to 6 or 7. I think, when they pull Strasburg, I think the bullpen gives up a run or two for the Nationals. I think Houston does come back tonight when they're like 3-2 to be very low scoring. I feel like because both these pitchers are outstanding. This is not going to be a World Series. We're going to see 7-8 runs a game. From each team, we're going to see very low scoring games. Oh yeah, I feel like the Astros are going to win as well. I'm right there with it, where I could see when by the time each of the starters get pulled, probably be 2-1, 2-2 game, and then eventually the Nationals bullpen ultimately in the series is gonna wear out, because how long can you pitch 2 guys and keep using a future starter for two innings? Eventually, if this does go 6-7. That's going to wear out, or you're just going to start pitching tired arms. And then what, in a clutch situation, you want Fernando Rodney? Good luck.
Exactly. So this should be an interesting World Series. My prediction is Astros in 5. I'm actually going to stick to that prediction, Astros in 5. What's yours, Justin?
I'm going to go Astros in 6. I won't pull the trigger on the Nationals, but I'm going to stick with the Astros in 6.
The way... I feel... I'll also pick Astros, but I feel like, honestly, it could go 7 at this point. But it's going to be a good... I feel like the only high-scoring game we'll see, potentially, is it maybe 3 when you see Anibal Sanchez versus probably Zach Greinke. So, other than that, I feel like we're going to see low-scoring games the whole game. Which, if you like pitching, hey, more power to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it should be a good World Series and should be interesting to see what happens in this World Series. But we're going to shift over to Week 8 of the NFL season, and we got some interesting moves. An interesting move by the Patriots after they beat the Jets on Monday Night Football. They went out and traded a second-round pick for Mohamed Sanu, and I think yes, he's not a great player, but this is a very good fit for what the Patriots want to do. He's got good hands. He's a good blocker. He's a good possession receiver, and I think he's going to fit Tom Brady really well. And the Patriots, even though they're 7-0, they might have even gotten better going out and trading for Sanu.
Oh, yeah, I think so, because now you add another weapon. I know Sanu on the Falcons was like a number 3 receiver. He's pretty much coming in here being a 1 or 2. Probably the 1, really.
Yeah, it also depends on Gordon's.
Yeah, it depends on Gordon's injury. Then Perry, I don't think he's being number 1 this year, maybe a couple years, hopefully. Yeah. But yeah, this is a nice pickup, and they have him for next year as well. So you give up a second rounder, which with the Patriots anyways could essentially become like a pretty much a third-round pick anyways. Is maybe one of the last picks.
Well, also don't forget that with losing Trey Flowers and Trent Brown, they'll get 2 third-round compensatory picks. So it's kind of like, you're not. So when you say second-round pick, people think, wow, that's because honestly, when I first saw it, I'm like, it's kind of that's pretty high to pay for him. But at the same point, it's a need, and you get the 2 thirds. So it's not bad.
No, not at all. I mean, it definitely is. It definitely because the receiver is kind of the weakness of the Patriots right now. So this because of if Josh Gordon's going to be with the injury, how good Josh Gordon's going to be. Philip Dorsett, yes, you guys like him, but he's an average to below average receiver.
He's done better than I anticipated because when he was drafted by the Colts, which is dumb because he literally coming out of the draft is a T.Y. Hilton type of wide receiver. Now, obviously, not the same in the NFL, obviously, but he's done smart. Like he's made some surprisingly good catches, like in the regular season last year. He made kind of like the one in that corner of the end zone, like flipping over and doing some somersault move. Really good. The toe tap he had against the Jets was really good. That looked like Julian Edelman making a toe tap. And with Mohamed Sanu right now, and so far this year, he's taken 77% of his snaps in the slot. So what are you going to do with him and Edelman? Are you just going to have one on the slot on this side, one on the other side? It's going to be mix and match. I don't know if did you guys ever see the video of him earlier this year where they tested how strong his arm was? He threw a ball harder than all but 2 quarterbacks in the NFL. And he was able to throw the ball 70 yards down the field. So I'm not saying, I was like, maybe we end up seeing trick plays down the line because, Patriots love to pull out a trick play somewhere and they'll come playoff time. But I think a lot of the NFL is seeing how good this Patriots defense is on paper, and you just look at stats. They were first, if not second, like almost everything, and they're the ones that got better. Now it's not like people are thinking Stephon Diggs or an AJ Green type, but in the long run, it might be a better fit because Mohamed Sanu is no nonsense. You never hear of anything bad. The guy's all for him. Plus, he's a Rutgers guy. Belichick loves the Rutgers guys. I mean. What the
McCourty brothers?
Yeah, Devin McCourty, Jason, Daron Harmon was there. So you got Rutgers. So he's gonna fit right in. It's just come time when everyone's healthy, like when N'Keal Harry comes healthy, you're gonna have Edelman, N'Keal Harry, Josh Gordon, Philip Dorsett, Mohamed Sanu, Jacoby Myers. You're gonna run 6 deep. I don't think it's gonna happen because it's the Patriot. I believe in the Patriot way and that it's gonna work out, but. I hope there's no noise about, I'm not getting enough touches and blah, blah. It's like, well, you're winning. So I wonder how it's going to work out long term, but it's going to be interesting. It's a nice move. You paid a decent price, but I think ultimately in the long run, it's definitely going to work out, though, for them.
So another trade yesterday is the 49ers traded for Emmanuel Sanders, and I think he's still a decent player, but he's not as good as he once was. I think he was coming off that injury, and I think he'll help the Niners, but I don't think this is going to make a huge difference for the Niners. I think Sanders you see his numbers this year: 367 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns. He's not the player he was last year. I think he's still coming off that injury, and do you know what the Broncos gave up for him? Like a 3rd or 4th round pick?
It was like 5th round.
Yeah. It was a steal to get him, I feel like.
There was a good amount of picks traded back and forth. There was like 3 picks.
It was a steal to get him, but I just don't think he's going to make that huge of a difference for the Niners. I just don't think he's the same player since the injury.
They got 3rd and 4th rounder for him.
Yeah, I just don't think Sanders... He's the same player since the injury.
Yeah, he's not, but like the 49ers, they don't have a great wide receiving core. They have a couple of decent ones with Deebo
They have
Samuel,
like
Dante
2s and
Pettis.
3s. They don't have
good
one.
Yeah, so they have a decent one. So Sanders comes in and he's just another decent receiver. Like, he's not great, but he's not terrible. Like, and we know Sanders has some talent, so maybe some of that rust comes off from the injury, because I think tore his Achilles, right? And
Yeah, which is surprising. He came back this quick from that.
Yeah, so maybe, he starts getting going with Garoppolo. Maybe because, Garoppolo probably a little bit better than Flacco now. Nowadays.
Oh, yeah, he's better than Flacco, yes.
Sure
Yes.
he
Yeah, so so maybe a better quarterback now. They throw the ball a little bit more. So I think that this is a good pickup for the Niners, and they didn't really have to give up much. Their fourth rounder, it's not bad.
Yeah, I don't think it's a bad trade, but at the same point, it's like, okay, you're getting another, like you guys said, another 2 and a 3. Like, I've told some Niners fans I know, you got the reason why I don't think this team will win a Super Bowl this year is one of two reasons. One, they're on the younger side. They need to get that playoff experience, and also they need that bona fide number 1 receiver. Like, if they had a guy like, I don't know, let's just the same names that are out there, like they ended up getting an AJ Green or a Stephon Diggs somehow, then I would think, okay, that's a move where, like, whoa, that's a good move. But I think it's like, Emmanuel Sanders, he's a solid guy. They have Deebo Samuel, who's a solid guy. Marquise Goodwin, who's a solid guy. Dante Pettis, who's solid. I think the only real elite, like, pass catcher that they have is George Kittle. Other than that, like, you have a bunch of 2s and 3s. So maybe with that offense, if you're going to be run heavy, it works for you. But ultimately, down the line, I think they're going to need to get the one to take that next step to become a Super Bowl contender.
Exactly. So we're going to get to the games in Week 8, and we're going to start with kind of a revenge game for a lot of players, for Adrian Peterson, for Kirk Cousins, and for Case Keenum, but mainly for Adrian Peterson, who was one of the best running backs in the league while he was with the Vikings. You got Kirk Cousins, who wants to get back at his former team for not giving him that long-term contract. And you got Case Keenum coming back to facing the Vikings again, who he was the quarterback of when they got to the NFC Championship game 2 years ago. So a lot of familiarity in this game.
Can't believe it.
But I think that the Vikings win this game, and I think on Thursday night, and I think they win it big. I think Dalvin Cook has a huge day. I think Kirk Cousins continues to stay hot. And I think the Vikings defense gets pressure on Case Keenum. I think they contain Adrian Peterson, and I'm going big with the Vikings. I'm saying 31-13 Vikings on Thursday night. And here's the thing. The toughest question now to ask yourself is, did the Redskins make a mistake not giving Kirk Cousins a long-term deal? Because you look at Kirk Cousins in 1 o'clock games, he's like a top 10 quarterback. But the problem is in primetime games or big games, he's a below average quarterback.
Like origami.
Yeah, he's a below average quarterback.
terrible.
So it's so weird to say, were the Redskins smart not to give Cousins a long-term deal? So that's still the question that still has got to be answered. But I think Cousins has a huge game tonight against the Redskins.
Oh, yeah. I think
tomorrow night, yeah.
I think the Vikings win this one 27-6. I think Kirk Cousins the last 3 games, 8 touchdowns, 1 interception, 3 consecutive. Just after Adam Thielen kind of called him out, I don't know if Cousins went back to film. I don't know if they've just figured something out, but whatever they've done the last couple of weeks has just been amazing. They're just rolling. I figured last week I know I picked the Lions. I thought the Lions were going to knock him off, but he went in there and played unbelievable. And the Redskins 154 yards last week in that monsoon, but they didn't.
That was an ugly game.
Yeah, that was fun to watch. Well, all the slipping and sliding. But,
especially with Bosa after the sack at the end, you just go wee.
Yeah, I think it's going to be another tough week for the Redskins to get anything going offensively. The short week, 27-6 Vikings at home.
Yeah, I have the Vikings winning big. I have them winning 30-13. I think it's just for the kind of reasons you guys said. The Vikings are gaining 160 yards on the ground. I mean, Dalvin Cook's having an insane season. I think right now, so far this season, he may be the second best back behind McCaffrey.
He's a top 4 back right now. You put him there with McCaffrey, Barkley, Zeke, and Zeke. So I think he's a top 4 running back right now.
And just off of this season, I think the only running back that's been better has been McCaffrey. I mean, because that guy's been all world, but Dalvin Cook's been playing insane, and I think that's allowing the play action game for Kirk Cousins, because I don't think you can solely rely on him when there's no run game. The play action gets into big plays to, Diggs, to Thielen, mixing in Rudolph and Irv Smith Jr. But so far, they're doing good. The defense for them is starting, I feel like, kind of pick up they're starting to become a complete team. I think they'll dominate the Redskins. It's going to be another long day for them.
Yes. So you got the Broncos heading to Indianapolis to face the Colts, and I think the Colts win this game. I think they win it big. I think Marlon Mack has a big day on the ground. I think Jacoby Brissett has a big day against the Broncos defense, and I think the Colts are going to be able to with Darius Leonard back, are going to be able to contain the Broncos run game with Phillip Lindsay, and I think that the Colts also get pressure on Joe Flacco because the Broncos offensive line has been absolutely terrible. Garrett Bowles has been a complete bust at left tackle, and I'm going big with the Colts. I'm going 34-17 Colts over Broncos, and looking at Andrew Luck right now, he probably wishes he didn't retire, because if he's playing, the Colts are right up there with the Patriots as one of the best teams in the AFC. Because you look at this roster, this is the best roster Luck would have had in his career.
Finally had a defense.
Yeah, this Colts team's playing really well. Nice home win last week against the Texans. I think this game's 27-13. I thought another one of my losers last week was I thought Denver was a knockoff KC, but they went right down the field and they scored. I was like, okay, Denver. And then
it was a complete blowout and an absolutely disgraceful performance.
Yeah, I mean, you saw, was it Troy Aikman that was just like, he was one step short of like, why am I here?
They allowed the Kansas City defense to get 9 sacks. That defensive line hasn't done anything all year.
KC's defense is now elite. No,
they didn't do anything all year. Then they allowed 9 sacks. I don't think this team comes out and performs very well at all Sunday, and I think the Colts keep playing well, and it's big now that Darius Leonard coming back. So I think the Colts this week could have 8 sacks in December's defense or offensive line.
Yeah, I think the Colts are going to win this game as well. Big win at 27-10. Because you're able, they love to just play ground and pound all day, every day, and they mix in Jacoby. They kind of use him essentially as a game manager. When we need you, come up big on like a third down. But other than that, just don't mess up the game. I mean, that's what they essentially have done so far. You start mixing in the big plays, Ty and maybe Paris Campbell if he ever plays this year, because I don't think he really ever I don't think he's played yet. And if he does, he hasn't really done anything. But I mean, the fact that you made the Chiefs defense look dominant, is John Elway ever going to find a quarterback for this team? I know they drafted Drew Lock and he's been out because I think it was like a thumb injury or something like that. But you need to start finding a quarterback. Or we need to, I understand Elway's a god over there in Denver, but we need to start looking and be kind of like, come on, dude. I'm not saying
their 5th quarterbacks in Maine retired.
Yeah, I'm not saying his team needs to be hot and we need to get rid of him next year. But we need to start, if you're Denver fans, start putting a little bit of pressure on and be like, dude, come on. You were essentially gifted Peyton Manning. Other than that, what, Trevor Siemian, Brock Osweiler, Joe Flacco, come on, you need to start finding a quarterback yesterday. But it's going to be another long day, and Colts are going to go to 5-2, and again, another big win for the Colts.
We got the Giants heading to Detroit to face the Lions, and I think this game is going to be a competitive game. I think that Detroit has trouble stopping the run, so I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a going to go for over 100 yards, and he's going to have a really big game.
And Kerryon Johnson's on IR.
And Kerryon Johnson's on IR, so that's going to force the Lions to be one-dimensional with Matthew Stafford. But I still think against the Giants defense, Matthew Stafford is going to have a really good game getting the ball to Marvin Jones, Kenny Golladay, and Danny Amendola. I still think Stafford's going to have a really big game. I do think their defense is a little shocked though by the trade yesterday when they traded Quandre Diggs to the Seahawks. You saw tweets from Trey Flowers and Snacks Harrison and a lot of and Darius Slay. You saw tweets from them. They were shocked by the move.
I can't repeat everything he said. This is some and you can figure it out from there.
Yeah.
And then he said some other stuff, and it's just when you're essentially, I feel like the leader of that. You can maybe say of the team other than maybe Stafford is saying that stuff. That's not a good sign. That's not good.
So I think this is going to be a really, really high scoring, competitive game. But at the end of the day, I got the Lions winning it, snapping their three. Both teams are coming to the game with 3-game losing streaks. But I got the Lions snapping their 3-game losing streak and winning this game 31-24 over the Giants this week.
I do have the Lions winning, but I do think the Giants cover. I think the Lions get this one 28-24. The Lions weren't great running the football before Johnson's injury. Now that he's out, it's kind of, Stafford's going to have to throw a ball probably 40, 45 times a game.
And I think, throw it to Marvin Jones, getting 6 touchdowns.
And I think this week they'll definitely have success against that because this Giants secondary is not great. They got out to a slow start last week with a couple turnovers. The turnovers bit the Giants last week. And I think the Lions come back and get a win at home Sunday.
I can't believe I'm the one picking the Giants. Ugh, this is painful being a Patriots fan doing this. But this is the reason why I think the Giants are going to, because you got to start putting pressure on Stafford now because Kerryon Johnson's not going to be there. Stafford, I feel like, is prone for that big turnover. I feel like they'll get enough pressure. I don't think it's going to be consistent. When we saw against the Patriots, was it Marquise Golden?
Marcus Golden.
Marcus Golden. Again, the strip sack ultimately led to the touchdown for them. And I think right now the Lions defense has given up just a hair under 140 yards rushing per game. I think if you're the Giants, get Saquon all day. Have Daniel Jones hit him up with the play action. And I feel like you'll end up having success because if you're able to run the pass, you don't have to put too much pressure on Daniel Jones, where the Lions are going to have to essentially solely, play on, off of Stafford. I feel like ultimately it's going to be a close game, but I feel like the Giants will win the game 24-20.
There is a game in London this week as the Bengals face the Rams, and I think this game is going to be a mismatch. I think the Rams, who Gurley wasn't had that great of a year, I think he'll do some things with Dontrell Henderson on the ground. I think Jared Goff will have a good game, and I think the pressure that's going to be on Andy Dalton is going to be relentless from Aaron Donald and Dante Fowler, and I think the Rams win. I think the Rams win big. I'm going Rams 28-10 over the Bengals.
I got the Rams win this one 31-10. I think the Bengals last week, 10 carries for Joe Mixon. He had 2 yards. Do you know Giovanni Bernard had 4 carries for 0 yards?
According to my calculations, bad.
They can't not run the football. Andy Dalton, I think, had 4 carries for 33 yards. So,
they're averaging 53 yards rushing a game.
That is bad. So,
ew.
The Rams could probably just sit back and rush only 3 guys and probably still have.
You could probably play quarters the whole game.
Yeah, probably, and you'll still be okay. But
play 10 DBs and Aaron Donald.
Yeah, Erickson stepped up for the Bengals because they're so banged up at wide receiver. That's really all they really have. The poor Bengals. This has been another long one. I think the Rams really gets on track. Ramsey forced a fumble last week. It's gonna be a long day for the Bengals.
I feel like the Rams are going to win 30-10. I feel like for the sole fact, if Todd Gurley doesn't get going in this game, there's something deeply wrong with that man. I mean, yes, the Rams are only getting just a hair under 100 yards rushing per game. The Bengals are giving up 189 rushing yards per game. If you don't get this going, then they might need to start looking into something else with Todd Gurley, because you need to start getting some major yards. I need at least over 100 from Todd Gurley.
We have the Seahawks heading down to Atlanta to face the Falcons, and Matt Ryan may or may not play this game, but it's not going to matter at all. The Falcons defense has given up over 30 points because this defense has completely quit on Dan Quinn, and I think that Chris Carson and Rashad Penny and Russell Wilson do whatever they want against this defense. I think on the other side of the ball, I think the Seahawks get pressure on whoever is the quarterback of the Falcons, if it's Matt Ryan or whoever it is.
Matt Schwab
still, and I think the Devontae Freeman doesn't do anything, and I think the Seahawks win big, and I this is just assuming Matt Ryan plays this score. I got the Seahawks winning 34-17, and here's one bold statement: the Seahawks win 34-17, and this will be the last game Dan Quinn coaches as the Falcons head coach.
I get the same exact score as you, 34-7 Seahawks. I wouldn't be surprised because this team has just fallen off the face of the earth. The Falcons, now they traded Sanu. I know they're trying to trade Vic Beasley now. Freeman hasn't got going. I think this is a bad time too for the Falcons to face the Seahawks after last week's performance at home. You lost a tough one to the Ravens where Lamar Jackson just ran crazy, ran all over you. I think Russell Wilson has a huge day through his first interception last week for a pick 6. I think Seattle just comes in here and just blows out the Falcons.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks are going to win 30-14, like you guys said. This defense quit. I think this whole team essentially has quit, except for maybe Calvin Ridley and Julio. Other than that, this team has checked out. How the mighty have fallen. They were this close away from winning the Super Bowl.
Should have won the Super Bowl.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, they should have. But they're, right there win the Super Bowl. They're one first down away from probably winning the Super Bowl. Then you go to playoffs next year, lose. Then injuries, They had a bad season last year, and then 1-6. I mean, how many? What injuries have they had other than Keanu Neal? Like, have they had?
They're not really, because last year they had a bunch of injuries. They had Deion Jones out for a while. They had Grady Jarrett out. Yeah, they had a ton of injuries last year, and Devontae Freeman. But Devontae Freeman hasn't been the same player since Kyle Shanahan left. Yeah. But it was excusable last year. But this year it's been completely inexcusable how bad they've been. But it just shows you in the NFL, even though you have injuries and you still have your quarterback and you go 7-9, you're still not that good of a team. That was my biggest mistake in my predictions. I picked the Falcons. I'll be honest. I picked the Falcons to be 12-4, and
I think I'm right there with you. I think it was around 11-5.
I couldn't be more wrong about that. They're very similar to what the Giants were 2 years ago. Expected to be pretty good, and they have completely fallen apart. And let's argue this: when the Falcons got to the Super Bowl, I think it was more because of Kyle Shanahan than Dan Quinn.
You can start seeing it. Look what he's done with Garoppolo in that Niners team. That team's really been turned around, and for the Falcons, whoever I mentioned, for the next 5 games coming up are against the Saints or Panthers. So it's gonna be a rough, and one I think is in Tampa too, so that's gonna be tough division.
And if you're looking at the Falcons, I'll say this real quick. I feel like this draft, I feel like is really obviously high on quarterbacks, and there's some good receivers. You're kind of good on receivers. I doubt they're just going to bail on Matt Ryan, even though it's not the worst idea.
It's going to be similar to the situation the Giants were in 2 years ago. I think they're going to stick with Matt Ryan and then take a guy on defense. Yeah. I mean, the Giants took a running back, but I think they improved their team to take a guy on defense.
Yeah, like the guy would, who's the guy from Ohio State? Chase Young? Maybe draft that guy, actually get a pass rusher. You know, because Vic Beasley has been, like, where have you been, Vic Beasley? Have not seen the sight of him.
Haven't seen him since, like, 2016.
Yeah, I mean, the last play I think he's ever made was in the Super Bowl where he swatted away that pass against Brady in end zone. But other than that, again, the Falcons, you just, goodbye. You're gonna get stomped.
He only has 14 tackles this year in a sack and a half so far.
Crazy.
And they're going to try to trade him. Like, here's an 8th round pick.
Yeah, I know. The team will probably get like this. All the Falcons will probably end up getting like a 7th round.
A half-eaten bag of popcorn.
Yeah, exactly. So we got a matchup of two underachieving teams in Chicago as the Chargers travel to face the Bears, and these two teams are completely underachieved this year. Looking on the Chargers side, their offensive line is absolutely terrible. Melvin Gordon, since he's came back, has been absolutely terrible. The Chargers have trouble stopping the run on defense. But thankfully this week, Chicago can't run the ball at all and has absolutely zero identity on offense. Mitchell Trubisky has been absolutely terrible.
Good Lord.
But at the end of the day, I think the Bears at home, and that was another team I was way too high on this year. They were my Super Bowl pick because I thought David Montgomery might replace Jordan Howard, and he completely has not. They completely missed Jordan Howard in that offense. Yeah. So I think that the Bears still win the game though because of their pass rush with Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack, and I think the Chargers won't get any run game going. I don't think Phillip Rivers will have a good game. The Bears might get a defensive touchdown. I think Trubisky struggles as well, but I'll take the Bears in a low-scoring game over the Chargers this week. I'm going to go 21-16 Bears over Chargers.
Yeah, whenever Mitchell Trubisky needs to throw the ball 54 times, it's not a good thing for Chicago.
Not at all, no.
And you ran the ball 5 times.
Do you think Trubisky's more hated now than Cody Parkey?
Yes. At this point, yes.
Yeah, and I know they only lost by 11, but that score was much closer than what the stats indicated. Michael Thomas had 130 yards receiving. The Bears going in the fourth quarter, I think, only had 110 yards total offensively. So that was a blowout. They got the 2 garbage touchdowns late with the onside kick recovery. Yeah, I think, and the Chargers lose another heartbreaking loss. Just seems like the last couple of years they have lost a bunch of those. I think it's another rough week for the Chargers, saying on the East Coast. Well, it's kind of on the East Coast. Saying, East somewhat.
East-ish coast.
Yeah. So I think it's just being another long week. I don't think Chargers will be able to do much defensively. And the Bears defense has not been great. And everyone was I heard a couple weeks ago, for who was someone talking about the Bears, like this is better than the 85 defense. And it's just like,
hard pass.
Yeah. No. It's not that right now. I think Bears won this one at home 20-14.
Yeah, I have the Bears winning 17-13. I think it's going to be ugly. There's going to be a lot of booing of Mitchell Trubisky. I think if you're the Bears right now, in the offseason, this is what you should do. And I want to ask you guys, what do you think about this? Cut bait with Trubisky. Well, maybe not release him because you're probably going to take a cap hit. But he's your backup, and you sign Teddy Bridgewater. I think it's better than Trubisky.
Yeah, and he's winning games, yeah.
Somebody said you can't really do that yet because it's like then you already gave up on your franchise.
Yeah, guess what? Your fans gave up on the franchise.
Yeah, that's what someone was saying. It's like because you're just accepting defeat because you picked him before Mahomes, And who they pick us? And then there was another. I came.
Mahomes, Watson was out.
Oh yeah, it was Watson, the other quarterback. So it's like you're.
And not only that, they traded from the 3rd to the 2nd pick to get this man.
Yeah.
So, ew, gross. But I think it's just gonna be ugly. I mean, the Chargers are writing a book on how to lose games in dumb ways. I mean, this was fantastically dumb on how you lost that. And you see what Melvin Gordon said? He was like, yeah, maybe it wasn't the best thing that it held out. It's like,
no kidding.
Duh. Like Captain Iris reporting for duty. Nice to see you there. Because clearly they had something with Austin Eckler before. You essentially, whatever progress that was made, you were like Thanos and just wiped it all out. And it's like, you were, whatever was going on with the offense, you destroyed it. You fumbled that game away against Tennessee, and now I don't think they're going to do much. I think this is going to be an ugly game on all sides, offense, defense, for both teams. But I think the Bears will win a close game now.
We have the Cardinals heading to New Orleans to face the Saints, and the Cardinals coming off a 3-game winning streak and win over the Giants last week, and the Saints who have won 5 in a row with Teddy Bridgewater. I think they make it 6 in a row. I think Alvin Kamara should come back this week. Him and Latavius Murray. The thing about the Saints is, ever since week 3 of 2017, they found an identity. We're going to be a run-first team to protect our defense, keep them off the field, and that has really been the formula, and that's really been the formula of success the last 2 years with the New Orleans Saints. You remember the Saints when they had those back-to-back, those 3 consecutive 7-9 seasons, and their defense was terrible. They didn't run the ball as well. I think the Saints have found an identity. They really have with Sean Payton. They've really kind of reinvented themselves by running the football, and I think they definitely do this week. I think Murray and Kamara combined for over 100 yards. I think that Michael Thomas has a big game, and I think for the Cardinals, I think the Saints get pressure on Kyler Murray. I think they shut down the run game. I think they get Chase Edmonds will not have the day he had last week in his return to New York.
That was insane.
Yeah, the Saints will completely, I think, shut down the Cardinals run game. I think Kyler Murray will make some plays, but not enough. And I think the Saints win this by a couple scores. I'm going, even though Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback, and I think they win their 6th in a row. I'm going 31-17 Saints over the Cardinals.
I got the Saints also win this one 28-17. Teddy Bridgewater again, just winning more football games, just unbelievable. He's kind of kept this team where they're at without Breeze. The Cardinals played well last week at MetLife. They got 3 turnovers. Chase Edmonds, the Fordham kid from the Bronx, had a absolutely game where nobody thought was coming because they didn't even really get the ball to Davy Johnson at all. Latavius Murray running for 120 yards against that Bears defense. The Saints just keep on rolling. You're exactly right, Steve, about that running game because they used to have Breeze throw the ball 60 times a game. They're
get 5,000 yards, which was like okay,
and finish 7-9. Yeah.
Yep, and they get their defense to give up 40 points, and it's just been a recipe that's been a success the last couple of years, and that continues. They won another game, and I heard Breeze started practice this week. I think he started. I
think he's going to be back after the bye week.
Oh, okay, next week. I thought I heard something. He's coming back very soon. So this Saints team's looking really good for a collision course with them and the 49ers for the NFC Championship game right now.
The thing, what I don't understand about the Saints in terms of on offense is obviously you have Latavius Murray, he can give you something. We don't know what Alvin Kamara can give you. What's another weapon they have other than Michael Thomas? What, like Ted Ginn? Like, Jared Cook? Like, what, Traquan Smith? Like, but somehow Michael Thomas still gives you 125 a game and like 10 catches. Can we triple team this guy or something? Like, I don't understand how he keeps getting that many receptions, that many yards with really no even close number 2, but somehow they manage it, which I think is you got to give a ton of credit to Sean Payton for able to to scheme up something and make the obvious still work. I think the Saints will win 31-20. I'm interested to see because obviously we know it's in New Orleans. It's going to be loud. How's Kyler Murray going to be able to deal with that? How is that system going to be able to deal with that? Because like that system kind of runs better if it, in terms of the Cardinal system on offense, runs better if it's quick, no huddle. I don't think that's the best thing to do when you're coming into the Superdome. That's not a good idea. And then if you do silent counts, how is that going to work with a rookie quarterback too? It's going to be interesting. I want to see how many false starts there are for them, how many just bad decisions there are by the Kyler Murray and really just that offense in general. But I think it's going to be closer than people think. I feel like it's going to be 31-20 victory for New Orleans.
We got a very interesting game in Buffalo as the Eagles travel to Buffalo to face the Bills. And looking at the Eagles right now, they're kind of a mess. I mean, you look at Alshon Jeffrey, who ratted out Carson Wentz last week.
Allegedly, Jones C. Anderson said that wasn't true.
Oh, that was true. Let's stop. Yeah. That was true.
I'm saying allegedly.
Because that connection just hasn't been what it was expected to be ever since he signed there 3 years ago. It's a couple of years ago.
Yeah,
I mean,
Nick Foles and Alshon Jeffries worked. Carson Wentz and Zach Ertz works. Carson Wentz and Alshon Jeffrey
does not work. Yes, does not work at all. And I think that I've went back and forth with this game. This is a huge game for both teams. I don't think the Bills are 5-1, but I don't think they're a 5-1 team. I think I think they're the biggest fraud in the league.
They're 4 I think they're like a solid 4-2, 3-3 team.
Yeah, they're the biggest fraud in the league. But I still think with the way the Eagles are playing, I still think the Bills are going to win this game. I think they'll have 6 because the Eagles back 7 is terrible. So I think the Bills will have success on the ground with Singletary and Gore. I think Josh Allen will make a couple big plays to Cole Beasley and John Brown. And I think the Bills defense is going to be able to contain that run game of Miles Sanders and Jordan Howard. And I think they're going to be able to get pressure on Carson Wentz with Jerry Hughes because the Eagles are weak at left tackle. They have a rookie starting there, Andre Dillard, who they drafted in the first round. So I think this game is going to be close and competitive. But at the end of the day, I'm taking the team that's more together, not the team that's been that's coming apart. And I'm taking the Bills to win this game 24-20 over the Eagles.
I got the Bills win 2017. This was a tough one. Yeah, the Eagles just absolutely did not show up last week. They got down 14-0 in 4 minutes after the first turnover,
and it was over.
Yeah, it was just. They didn't show up to play football.
And that's against your number what? Because I'm assuming that's your number one rival, right? I'm assuming if you're the Eagles. And
it's their number one. Oh, by far their number one rival.
You got mollywopped by them. It was.
I mean, Dallas has beaten. Dallas kind of owns them in big games, but still, yeah.
I felt like honestly, I fell asleep and I woke up. I'm like, let me check the score. I'm like, no, didn't get any better.
Yeah, no, it was.
You probably enjoyed it too.
Honestly, I'm fine with it either way. When any NFC East team face, I'm cool with whoever wins.
Yeah,
because then the other team loses, and I'm happy with it.
Yeah, but
my Eagles voodoo doll.
Buffalo last week, they gave up actually 380 yards of Miami's defense. I don't know if it was they didn't care about Miami. They just overlooked Miami. They got ready for
Miami. Doesn't care about Miami
against Buffalo, against Philly. This then would be a huge game for the Bills because then you're sitting there at 6-1, looking pretty good for a wild card. Because I don't think they'll beat New England, so I don't think they're getting the divisional. But I think in Josh Allen now threw 2 touchdowns with no interceptions, so now he's at 7 touchdowns and 7 interceptions now. So he's not
off flat.
Yeah. That's her looking at improving a little bit, but they'll get it done at home 2017.
Yeah, I think this was maybe one of the toughest games to go back and forth for me. But I think the Eagles will win it. I think it'll be 24-17. I have no other reason other than Josh. I need to start seeing. Obviously, yeah, like you said, he had no interceptions last week. He did good last week. This Eagles pass rush, are you going to start getting what you should? Because Fletcher Cox, I believe, had his first sack last week. Brandon Graham, it's been spotty. Derek Barnett's been spotty. I believe Tim Jernigan's been hurt. So what are you gonna get for this team? And I feel like this game could be the game that kind of decides which way the Eagles' season's gonna go. If you lose this game to Buffalo, who you think all preseason rankings and all this, and even me, because I thought the Eagles were gonna go to the NFC Championship game. They were widely thought of to be way better than the Bills. If you end up losing to the Bills, your season's trending downwards. If you win this game, you're saving your season to at least have the possibility to be able to keep up in your division and keep up with all the NFC and not just falling, into the doormats and have the teams get ruined from the inside out. Well, you need to start figuring out what's gonna work. You need to start figuring out what's gonna work. And what I never understood, even last year, was that when they had Carson Wentz, they never ran the RPO stuff that they did with Nick Foles. The RPO stuff with Nick Foles was gold. It worked.
Yeah, I think a big reason
I
think a big reason they don't want to get Carson Wentz hurt, so they want him to be a drop back passer. But the problem is it's just not working because Carson Wentz doesn't take the check down. He loves to throw the ball down the field. He doesn't check it down. You watch Brady the other night. He takes the check down all the time. That's why he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Carson Wentz has a lot of talent, but the reason why he's not an elite quarterback is he doesn't
decision making.
Yeah, he doesn't take the check down. Right. He needs to start doing that kind of stuff. And the problem with the Eagles is I think at receiver, Alshon Jeffrey just gets no separation, and Carson Wentz has no trust in Alshon Jeffrey whatsoever, not at all. And Nelson Aguilar is absolutely terrible.
And Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, that's their loss. They definitely missed Deshaun Jackson.
There was a supposed trade that was in the works. I don't know how much in the works, but it was to the Cardinals for Patrick Peterson, for Nelson Aguilar, and a first. And I was like, just make me throw up. Like no. If I ever saw that work, I'd like the Cardinals would be one of the dumbest teams ever to ever. Just don't do that. But if you're the Eagles, you need. I'm saying for the love of God, just try the RPO stuff. It couldn't hurt because obviously with Nick Foles, it worked like gold. It worked every single time. Just attempt it. Like for the love of God, just please, because obviously it's not working what you're doing with Carson Wentz now. Just you need to start figuring it out, because if your season starts going downwards now, like good luck. You're not doing anything this year.
So we got an AFC matchup in Jacksonville between the Jets and Jaguars. This is another game we went really back and forth on, but the Jets look so bad on Monday night, especially Sam Darnold, their offensive line, and the Jaguars.
I see ghost.
Yes, and the Jaguars and I'm a big Sam Darnold guy. You can ask anyone. I'm a big Sam Darnold guy, and the Jaguars have a really good pass rush, and the Jets' offensive line isn't that good. I think Bell will have some do some damage on the ground, but I think the pass rush of Jacksonville is going to make the difference. I think that
ghost part two,
and I think that Minshew, because the Jaguars offensively are definitely better than they were last year. I think Fournette gets enough yards. I think Minshew makes some plays to DJ Shark, and that makes the slight difference in this game. A game I've went back and forth on, but I got the Jaguars winning it close. I do have the Jets covering, but I got the Jaguars winning it close. I got them winning it 23-20 over the Jets.
I do have also the Jets covering. I have the Jags winning, though, 21-17. I think Jags offense, they played decent last week in Cincinnati. They played better late. They weren't great a couple weeks ago against the Saints, where they only scored 6 points. So I think the Jet defense will keep them in it. Because I think Sam Darnold will have a better performance than he did Monday night.
It can't get much worse. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. It really cannot get much worse.
No, I think I put Adam Gase on kind of. They should have just pulled him late in that game and just sat him down.
When you put that in the group chat, like not great like that, like just save the guy.
Yeah,
you're just throwing him out there to just get chewed on.
Yeah, he did. The Pats came up with a great game plan, and the Jags will too. The Jags probably even take some of what the Patriots did and just use that against them.
It's a copycat league.
Yeah, so I think he's gonna have a little bit better or a little bit more success because they don't have all the weapons the Patriots do defensively. The Jags, but I think we'll play a little bit better. I think Jags pull this one out at home, 21-17.
Yeah, I have the Jags winning, but just like you guys, I have the Jets covering. I feel like the Jags will win a 1-point game, 21-20, just because you have Leonard Fournette. It kind of shows if Leonard Fournette's healthy, he can give you some yards. Right now, he's averaging over 100 yards per game right now. So when you give that, then you go to Minshew and able to mix in the play action, try to get the big plays to DJ Chark. It gives you something. And right now, you need to show, if you're Darnold, you need to show that game was just a fluke, because you saw him against the Cowboys. Team looked pretty good, and I think that all made us think that game against the Patriots was going to be relatively competitive. And we obviously saw that it wasn't. So you need to show, was that a one-off? Like, is that maybe just the Patriots being the Patriots, or is that what your season's going to be? You need to show that, but I do think it will be a 1-point victory for Jacksonville.
We would have had a matchup of the number 1 and number 2 picks in the 2015 draft, but the Titans chose to bench Mariota after their loss to the Titans. They did get a win last week over the Chargers with Ryan Tannehill. But it is the Bucs traveling to Tennessee to face the Titans this week, and I think this is a bad matchup for the Titans because of the way Tampa Bay can stop the run. I think when the Titans can't run the ball with Derrick Henry, they have a lot of problems on offense, and I think this is going to happen in this game. I think this is going to be a close, competitive, low-scoring game, but this is my upset of the week. I'm taking Tampa Bay because I don't think Bruce Arians is losing 3 in a row. I like Bruce Arians. Yes, he took over a bad team, but I do like Bruce Arians. This Bucs team is improved defensively because of the way they could stop the run. So I'm going with the upset. I'm going with the Bucs over the Titans, 20-17 this week.
Yeah, I also have the Bucs 24-21. The Titans defense has been pretty good, but like the last couple of weeks, they haven't played a great offensive team. They beat the Chargers last week. They're not great offensively. The Bills and the Broncos aren't great offensively.
They got shut out by the Broncos.
Yeah,
by the Broncos.
And so I think, and Bruce Arians and Jameis Winston, I heard, had a talk last week. They sat down, and Arians just told them just don't play fearless, or just throw the ball. Don't really worry about it. So
don't aim, just throw.
Yeah. So I think James can come out and play well this week. I think, definitely the Tennessee defense is good, but I think, they're not. I don't think, they're as good as maybe ever, we think. I think Tampa's going to have some success against them. And yeah, of course, Tennessee, I think they're going to have a hard time getting Derrick Henry going, and Tannehill's not great through the air.
He's decent,
but he's not great.
I mean, if you look at Miami, they won 7 games last year, and now they can't win a game. So he's still a decent quarterback. But I think he's better than Mariota.
Yeah, I think he probably is. Mariota's not a guy that's great under center. That's conversation for another day. But Tampa 24-21 on the road.
Yeah, I also have Tampa winning. I have them winning 27-21. I think that for the sole fact of you need to get Derrick Henry going for this offense to really work. I mean, it's surprising. The Buccaneers are only giving up 68 yards rushing per game. That's impressive. Although their pass defense has just got off.
Oh, their secondary is pathetic. They couldn't hold an 18-point lead against the Giants.
It's just like, I don't understand how you have one-party defense be... wouldn't be surprised. Yeah,
you remember the Giants.
I don't have it the rankings right in front of me. But wouldn't be surprised me if they were first in the league in rushing. But then
they're 32nd
and last in passing.
They're 32nd. Their secondary is horrible.
They are 32nd in passing, first in rushing.
Yeah.
It's like how. Like that doesn't compute in my brain. But so maybe the only way you're going to have to, if you're going to win, if you're Tennessee in my eyes, is that you're going to have to one of two ways. You're going to either have to force Winston into mistake after mistake after mistake and give your offense a short field instead of having to drive 75-80 yards, or Tannehill's going to have a big game. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out for them, so I do think the Buccaneers are going to win a 6-point victory by 6 points.
So we got the paper champions against the defending champions this week in Foxborough.
I like that.
And yes, I think the Patriots win this game by a couple scores. This is the one thing that could happen to keep this game competitive. I think the Browns have an advantage here. The matchup of their pass rushers against the Patriots tackles and
triple team Myles Garrett the whole game, please.
Yeah, but they have Olivier Vernon on the other side, so he could have a big game too. And your tackles have not played well this year, and the Patriots have struggled to run the ball. So I think the Browns, this is defensively, stay in this game a little bit because I think they get some pressure on Tom Brady. So I think this game is close. Actually, I think this game is close in the first half, but I think the Patriots make adjustments in the second half, and I just don't see Baker Mayfield because I think the Patriots are going to stop Nick Chubb, and I don't see Baker Mayfield doing anything on this Patriots defense. And I got the Patriots winning. I got them winning by a couple scores against the paper champions. I got the Patriots winning 27-13 against the Browns this week.
Yeah, I got the Pats winning this one. I think it's going to be like 31-10. I think they get some. I think the Pats definitely forced Baker into some mistakes because he's got 5 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Just not a great sophomore year.
And our offensive line's not good too.
Yeah, and I think they'll get some easy possessions where they start in the Browns territory again, and then there's no way Freddie Kitchens will outcoach Bill Belichick. I think
that's a coaching mismatch.
Oh yeah, a big one. I think maybe Browns do keep it close the first half, and then Bill Belichick just makes second half adjustments that just blow Freddie and Browns out of here. But I think the Browns could definitely get pass rush on New England, and I think they slow that down in the second half. Pats have not been able to run the ball. I know Michaud went down with an injury late in that game. I don't know what his status is.
I think it looked like he was fine. I honestly think that he might have got hit in the face and was kind of, like if you ever get hit in the nose and you're just kind of like your eyes start watering a little bit. Honestly, it's kind of what it looked like. I mean, hopefully, I don't know. Don't quote me.
He's not on the injury list today, so it seems promising that he'll play at the moment. So I think the Pats, will get some. Hopefully, the running game going. I think they win big over the Cleveland.
Yeah, I think the Pats are going to win 34-13. Let me ask you guys this. How many points do you think the Patriots have allowed so far on defense?
It's like 6.9 a game. Are you talking about that?
Yeah, total. Yeah,
total. Season?
48 points per game.
That's crazy.
What do you think the next closest is through 7 games?
Probably the Niners, right?
Niners, yeah.
Well, I'm saying, sorry. I meant all time. I'm meaning all time.
The 85 Bears? 2000 Ravens?
Yep. 2000, and how many do you think they gave up?
Probably in the 50s.
75. Oh. So 2000. So I'm not gonna put this defense on that level because obviously those are all-time greats. This defense needs to play it out through the whole season. But we're thinking all-time great defense. Baltimore Ravens, 75 points per game through 7. 2002 Buccaneers, 76. 78 Steelers, the Steel Curtain, 77. Then we had the 78 Broncos, 86. 86 Bears was 90. 2000 Titans, 97 points per game. 85 Bears, maybe regarded as one of the best defenses ever. 105 points per game. This defense has given up less than half the points in the 85 Bears. So take that for what it's worth, along, obviously with the offenses they have played, which are not the best so far. They have the biggest point differential through 7 games ever.
It's since 1920. Yep. I forget who that was. But.
The biggest. Well, so far through 7 games, number 1 obviously is this Patriots team. Number 2 was the 66 Cowboys, and number 3 the 07 Patriots. And because right now they're outscoring their opponents 223-48, and right now on their quarterback hits produced. Right now, the Patriots are first by 1, although Carolina has played 1 less game so far. But I just think it's going to be a long night. If the Browns have a chance, it's going to be the outside pass rush for them. Are they going to be able to get around the edge, maybe force a strip sack, and an interception? Maybe they get a touchdown themselves off of a fumble. And Nick Chubb has to get going. That's the only way I really see that being a possibility for the Browns, but I don't think it's going to happen. I think that the Patriots will win by 21 points, 31-13.
We have the Raiders traveling to Houston to face the Texans, and I think that Deshaun Watson bounces back this week and has a huge game against the Raiders defense. The Raiders can stop the run pretty well, but against the pass, the Raiders can't really get consistent pressure on the quarterback, and their secondary is terrible. I think Watson has a huge week. I think Hopkins has a huge week. I think Fuller has a huge week.
Well, I think he's out, though.
Oh, who is?
Yeah, Fuller.
Okay.
I think it's like his hamstring coming back to bite him again.
Yeah. So I think Hopkins has a big week, and Watson has a big week. And I think on the other side of the ball for the Raiders, I think they move the ball a little bit with Josh Jacobs and Darren Waller and Derek Carr, but it won't be enough. And I got the Texans winning by a couple scores. I got them winning 34-20 this week in Houston.
I have the Texans also getting this one 35-24. I think Watson had a much better week. I think the Raiders can be able to pull a point because they've been able to score offensively. I just don't think they're going to be able to get enough stop. I think Derek Carr to be able to throw the ball. Texans are 29th in pass defense, so I think Carr will be able to move the ball. I think Jays will have a little bit of success running, but they're going to have to move away from that second half trailing. But Texans been tough week last week, but they've been playing better last couple of weeks. So I'm going to take my home.
I'm going to take the Texans to win. I have it being a little bit closer than what I originally thought before I kind of looked into stuff. I had the Texans winning 30-21. Like I said, with the Raiders, only giving up 86 rushing yards per game. Not bad. It's pretty good. But you're giving up 300 yards passing. You're going against Deshaun Watson, who's one of the top quarterbacks in the league. You probably have the top receiver in the league with DeAndre Hopkins. And we're going to see, since Fuller is going to be out for this game, they're going to see if Kenny Stills ends up playing. How is it going to be for him being the number 2 instead of mixing him in as the number 3? Are we going to see maybe this trade in full effect? Ultimately the trade that they got the left tackle and Kenny Stills for. Is it going to work out in the long term? Do we have something for the previous games down the line? Are we going to have a solid third? Are we going to have a guy we can't really bank on? So that's going to be interesting to see, but the Texans will win the game 30-21.
Big NFC matchup in San Francisco as the Niners face the Panthers, and I think that Christian McCaffrey has a pretty good game, even though because the one weakness of the Niners is their linebacking core, is their run defense, their pass defense is outstanding, but the one weakness is their linebacking core, so I think McCaffrey has a good game, but I think the Niners were able to run the ball against them too with Matt Breida. I think it's going to be a really close, competitive game, low scoring because the two defenses are pretty good, but I got the Niners winning 23-17, go to 7-0, beating the Panthers this week.
I have the Niners as well winning this one 24-20. I think maybe a little bit too high scoring. I picked it, but I think for Kyle Allen this week, he has not thrown an interception yet. I think that's going to change Sunday. I think Niners secondary will make him force a mistake. I think McCaffrey will be able to run the ball pretty well again. I think right now the Niners are 7th against the run, but I think McCaffrey will have a little bit of success doing on the ground. But this Niners team right now, they're playing really well. Garoppolo, he's had 7 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. I know they're able to run the ball pretty well, and they have with Coleman and Breida, it's a nice duo right there. And I will take the Niners at home at the Bay, and especially too, Carolina went to London, came back home. Now they got to fly back out to the West Coast. I think travel too could maybe be an issue.
I had this being my upset I have the Panthers winning 24-17. I think it's because the defense for the Panthers, like I said earlier when talking about the Patriots defense, they're second in quarterback hits per game with 50. So I think they'll be able to get pressure on Garoppolo, because I think Garoppolo is he's in the season kind of like how Brady was when he tore his ACL. The next season, you're not fully like relying on it. You're hesitant to step in. People get around your feet. You're kind of getting happy feet instead of staying in there, and just delivering the ball with your full mechanics like you should. But if the Panthers have the chance to win, it's got to be Kyle Allen's got to play almost flawless football, because this defense for the Niners is ridiculously good. It's just pass rush for days. It's like who do you want to go rush passer? Like, you can pick any 4 or 5 of them. Obviously, Bosa's becoming one of the top pass rushers in the league only as a rookie. But I think they're going to have to Panthers are going to have to ride McCaffrey. McCaffrey's going to have I think like 150, 175 yards total offense for the Panthers to win. And I think it is possible because, like you said, the linebackers are the weak point of this defense. And McCaffrey on really 99% of the linebackers, I'll take him, especially against the 49ers. I'll take it. So I think ultimately the Panthers will win this game because they have the best player on the team in Christian McCaffrey.
We got the Sunday night game. We wish it was Rodgers and Mahomes, but we're not getting that because Mahomes is hurt. It's going to be Rodgers against Matt Moore. And I think in this game that Aaron Jones has a big game. Aaron Rodgers has another big game against Kansas City's defense. And I think that, I think Reed schemes up some plays for Matt Moore where they're going to be able to move the ball, but I think they're going to kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns. And I got the Packers winning 31-16 over the Chiefs on Sunday night.
Yeah, I got the Packers winning this one. Rodgers is going to have another huge week after what he did with the against the Raiders last week. I think this is going to be 34-27. Yeah, I think Matt Moore is going to be able to have a little bit of success. Packers defense hasn't been great the last couple of weeks. They're now 26 now. Yeah, 26 now in overall defense. After the first couple of weeks, it looked like this Packers defense was really, really good. It's really struggled the last couple of weeks. So I think KC's going to move the ball now that they have Hill back. But I wish it was Mahomes versus Rodgers. Would be a great game, but I think Packers will get it done.
NBC is so mad. It's like
say it's 2-2 in the World Series. They're going to lose their ratings big time.
Like,
that's the problem. Yeah.
They're so they're so beyond. The best way I can say it is they're furious right now. But I think the Packers won this game 35-20. I think it's because obviously you have Mahomes there. Moore he's a solid QB. He's going to be able to give you something. But obviously we all know, no one's dumb enough to say he's the level of talent Mahomes is. I think because of the level of talent they have at the skill positions with, Markel Hardman, Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, Watkins, Robinson, they're going to be able to put up some points, but I think the Packers ultimately win the game by 15.
We got the Monday night game, Dolphins-Steelers, and I think that the Steelers win this game by a couple scores. I got them winning 27-10. I think they stop the Dolphins' running game. They force Fitzpatrick to make mistakes. I think James Conner has a good game, and I think Mason Rudolph comes back and has a good game too. I'm going 27-10 Steelers on Monday night.
I'm going to go – I got Miami covering this one. I got the Steelers are winning 27-17. I think Miami did have 300 yards of offense last week. I think, they'll be able to move the ball a little bit. I think it's going to be tough, but I think it is a blowout, and I think the Dolphins do score a garbage touchdown late to cover. I think that's how it kind of goes down. But yeah, Rudolph's supposed to be healthy. This could be a huge game for him, maybe a huge confidence booster. I know he hasn't been bad, but one of those big games where he's okay.
No, especially coming off that injury, which was
that was a scary injury.
That literally looked like he could have been dead.
Yeah, he was knocked out there for a minute, but I think Dolphins covered. Steelers go to 3-4.
I had the Steelers winning 24-10, solely for the fact that I don't know how Miami's going to be able to put up points, and I think James Conner's going to have a big game because Miami's giving up 160 yards rushing per game. I think you're going to see a lot of James Conner, and that's going to be able to mix in ultimately the play action to Juju, and the Steelers will win by 14.
We'll talk a little bit of college football, and this is a pretty big week of college football. We would have had a huge game at noon, but Wisconsin was upset by Illinois last week. And I'm telling you, Wisconsin, if you contain Jonathan Taylor, you're gonna win the game. And I think that's gonna be the same thing this week. I think Ohio State beats them by a couple scores, and I got Ohio State winning the game. I'd say around 27-13. I think Ohio State wins by a couple scores over Wisconsin.
Yeah, I kind of figured out last week Wisconsin. I think
one-dimensional.
Yeah, that, and I think they're. a fraud. Well, they should have won that game, but with 2 minutes left, you have the best running back in the country, and you're throwing the ball in your own territory. Like that's just
yeah. Like maybe throw it to the running back, if anything,
because Taylor's a pretty good back, and there's two guys there, and then Illinois goes down and kicks the game-winning field goal. Like it was just dumb coaching. I think Illinois started to burn some of their timeouts, so it didn't make sense. They started
to be too. They were too cute for themselves.
Yeah, and now if I said if you have a great quarterback, go ahead. But Jack Cohen's not great, and I think Ohio State defense is really, really good, and I think they are going to have some success slowing down Jonathan Taylor, and they're going to make Jack Cohen beat him through the air, which he cannot do. I think it's going to be a rough one, and this should be interesting though, because Ohio State second overall in defense. Wisconsin still is first overall in defense. So we got two of the best defensive teams in the country, but I just think Ohio State's offense is just way too good. I think the Buckeyes win at home 31-17.
Yeah, I have the Ohio State Buckeyes winning, I'll say by 21, 24 points. I think it's because, like you said, you stop Jonathan Taylor, Wisconsin's done. If you want to stop Justin Fields, you guess what? J.K. Dobbins is going to run all over you. You want to try to stop J.K. Dobbins? Guess what? Fields will pass all over you. So they're two-dimensional, while Wisconsin is one-dimensional. So that two-dimensional offense, pass and run, and with that defense, I think ultimately second half they'll pull away and they'll end up destroying Wisconsin in the second half.
Got an SEC game with Auburn heading to LSU, and I think Bo Nix is not ready for the big stage. I think he has another tough game in LSU, and I think LSU wins
Death
this game.
Valley.
I think LSU wins this game big. I'm going 38-17 LSU. I think Joe Burrow continues his run going for the Heisman. I think LSU wins this one big.
Yeah, I think LSU wins this one 45-28. Bo Nix, and he's going to struggle going to Death Valley. Luckily for him, it's on at night, but it's still going to be loud.
Yeah, because good luck if it was at 8 o'clock.
It's still going to be loud, but it's, not going to be that bad at night. And this is the last tune-up for LSU before Alabama. They get the bye next week. And this offense averaging 50 points a game is just so explosive. Terrence Marshall will be back. That's one of their top wide receivers. He's supposed to give it a go. Our LSU defense has played a little bit better the last couple of weeks. They slowed down Mississippi State last week. They got to a slow start, kicked 3 field goals their first couple possessions. I think they get out to a quicker start. Auburn defense pretty good, so I think Auburn's able to keep it close for a while, but LSU just has way too much talent offensively.
I think LSU is going to end up kind of a similar thing to Ohio State versus the Wisconsin game. Second half, they'll end up pulling away because I don't think Bo Nix is going to be able to keep up with Burrows, who's playing as one of the best, if not the best, quarterbacks in all of college football. Right there for the the Heisman. And like I said, LSU at their stadium with a big game, like you said, thank God it's not an 8 o'clock game. Or otherwise, I think this could be a blowout from the get-go. But I will give Auburn a half to stick, but I think ultimately LSU will end up pulling away, winning by, I'll say by about 17, 21 points.
We got Penn State heading to Michigan State this week, and Michigan State does have 3 losses, but they've kind of been a nemesis to Penn State over the years. Since James Franklin's been the coach, James Franklin is 1-4 against Michigan State. Michigan State beat them at home last year, and even though Michigan State's offense struggles, they have had Penn State's number. But I think that Penn State, with their defense, pulls this one out. I think it's another really close game, defensive struggle. But I got Penn State winning it. I think they run the ball with Noah Cain. I think KJ Hamler makes some plays. I think their defense plays great again. And I got Penn State winning another close game. I got Penn State remaining undefeated, winning 24-17 at Michigan State.
Yeah, Michigan State winning this one 21-13. Nobody talking about KJ Hamler. I think he's really, really underrated.
He's so fast.
Yeah, nobody I hear really talk about him. I think he's a huge part of this Penn State offense. I think their defense slowed down Michigan State. Lewarke's been better than he was last year. 11 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Michigan State, though, they just haven't been able to run the football consistently. They're 110th in the nation running the ball against Penn State, who's 4th defensively. So I think they're going to struggle there. Make Lewarke be one-dimensional, have to throw the ball. And that's not really going to work. I think Penn State gets by, and then they got to showdown in 2 weeks against undefeated Minnesota on the road.
I know Justin D'Onofrio knows that one's going on. Has Minnesota beaten anyone, though?
No, they did smack around Nebraska 34-7.
Yeah, but Nebraska's overrated, Justin. Come on.
The Minnesota's got a couple of tough ones. They're backloaded in November. They still got Wisconsin, Iowa.
Oh, yeah. See, they haven't played really anyone yet. That's why they're
not yet, but very soon. I think, next couple of weeks, we'll see them.
Yeah, I think Penn State's going to end up winning this game because if you look at the last 2 teams Michigan has played, Wisconsin obviously can run the ball. Ohio State can run the ball. they'll end up obviously struggling versus the run because Penn State's able to gain 178 rushing yards per game. I think ultimately that's going to be the big part of that, is that running the ball, and is Michigan State going to be able to score? I think Penn State's going to be able to limit the possessions, which is going to be able to put, limit the possessions for Michigan State, which is going to put more pressure on them to score every possession, at least attempt to get field goals. You put pressure on that team, and ultimately they'll be able to get turnovers, and I think Penn State will win the game. I'll say a 14-point victory for them.
We got the Saturday night game with Notre Dame going to the Big House to face Michigan. Is this game day this week?
No.
Oh, but LSU.
They're in South Dakota State.
Oh, it's also they do this random one. So,
yeah, I love it.
They do that. Hey, Justin,
but is it just like once a year they do it or something?
Five FCS matchup.
Yeah,
Dakota State
and Justin loves the FCS.
Oh, yeah.
But we got Notre Dame and Michigan. So I think Notre Dame wins this game. I think that Michigan just cannot win a big game with Jim Harbaugh at this point. The question is, do you fire him or not? It's tough because I don't know if you're going to get a coach better than Jim Harbaugh, but Jim Harbaugh is not on the level of Dabo Swinney, Nick Saban, or Brian Kelly. Yeah, he's not on that. He's not on that level. So it's a tough question. Do you fire him? But I still think Michigan loses another big game with Jim Harbaugh, and I got Notre Dame winning this game.
Yeah, it's a tough question. It's something that, people have been talking about, but the thing is, they recruit very well. They had the most top 3 most ESPN top 300 recruits
in terms of Michigan, right?
Yeah, Michigan. So they recruit well. It just seems like maybe it's just not. I think it's the same thing as what LSU's offensive struggles have been. Because it's like this LSU's offense would be kind of not explosive but pretty good with all the weapons they have. I think they're just. I know that they knew the offensive coordinator this year. I think maybe I think next year they can get off and run this offense. I think because I do like Shea Patterson. He had a lot of success down in Ole Miss. So I think you got to keep him. I'm like, now if he gets blown out against Ohio State this year and they lose to Michigan State, that's, maybe. It really depends in college of how the boosters like him. I think that's where it really comes down to in college football is the boosters. And I haven't really heard too much on it. So I think he's safer now, but we'll see. If they lose this week, they're still a favorite, and everybody's on Notre Dame, so it kind of scares me when that happens. So I am taking the Irish 27-24. But yeah, Jim Harbaugh 1-10 now versus top 25 teams. I think that goes to 1-11, and then they're 19. They're ranked 19 in the country. So if they lose maybe by enough, some stuff happens, they may be out of the top 25 on Monday.
I think they'll end up I think Michigan will lose to Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame will win by 3. I think it could be literally just a last-second field goal. It could be another heartbreaking loss. And this time I don't think this is the final nail in the coffin for Jim Harbaugh, but I think you're trending that way because, like you said, 1-10 against. And now, if they end up losing this, you're 1-11. What Ohio? So who do they face next? That's a tough team. Ohio State, obviously.
So got Michigan State, which Michigan State's not great, but we know that's a crazy rivalry.
Oh yeah, we saw what happened in that game where the punter, messed up the snap and all that.
They got Maryland next week. They should win. They got at Indiana where they should win. So they could come out of here, at best maybe 9-3, whatever. Which. That's not their expectation.
Oh, yeah. But I think the reason why I think they'll ultimately end up losing this is because I just think, Shea Patterson has talent. You could see he has talent, but then it's just there's a disconnect with something, whether it's with him with the coordinator, play calling, or something. There lies the issue, and you got to find that issue and fix the issue. And I don't think they're going to be able to do that against Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame ultimately, last-second field goal, but they will win by 3.
So before Justin leaves, you probably want to talk about something he wants to talk about, and that's the game of the century.
Oh, well, I don't have to leave anymore. Brothers Clock.
Gotcha. So
do you want to talk about it?
Definitely. With Tua's injury, how is this going to impact Alabama, especially if he can't play against LSU? They're in trouble if he can't play against LSU.
It is, and the thing is, now we could talk about his draft stock too. Is the family? What I've heard that conversation where it could come down to. Is it better, do you want to risk it? Because we saw last year against Georgia, that ankle, he was not very athletic.
Didn't he have the same exact surgery? It's on the other ankle?
Yep, now it's on the other ankle. It's the same surgeon doing it.
That's not good.
It's not.
And he gets drafted by Miami. That guy will be mincemeat.
Yeah, so that's the worry. You know, they do have the bye next week. They have Arkansas coming up Saturday, which they should beat by 35 points. But I'm interested to see how Mac Jones does now with a full week of practice and everything. Now, Tua's brother is now Mac Jones' backup. So there is another Tagovailoa in the system. So, you know, and I hope he does play, and he probably is only going to be 80-90%. I don't think we're going to be able to see a healthy Tua in 3 weeks in time for this LSU game, less than 3 weeks now. And I really wish he could, and I hope he is, because I think this is fine. LSU Alabama is finally going to be the game as we've all been waiting for. I know 2011 it was 9-6, but
and then we saw the rematch in national title game, and that was just that was pathetic.
Yeah,
that was like welcome to school.
Yeah, and since then Alabama just Nick Saban has just owned LSU, and this is finally the year. And it's like, I know LSU, you know, would have the big advantage, but I know LSU would love to try to beat Alabama at their full strength.
Oh yeah,
and this is but when you do have 3 top low wide receivers like Judy, Riggs, and Smith, I think if you throw any of us three could probably have to throw.
Yeah, always throw for 100.
So I still think they're all going to be good, but you just lose Tua, who's just so good. And I hope he does play. I think he is going to give it a go. I'd be shocked if he doesn't, knowing him. But it would be a huge loss, and I really hope he plays.
Yeah, it's going to be let down if he's not going to be able to play, because like you said, when you see a game that has that much hype, you want to see each team, unless obviously if you're a fan of one particular team, then you wouldn't mind probably seeing the other team at not 100%. But if you're not a fan of a team, you want to see each team at 100%, go full bore at each other and see what's going to happen. If he gets hurt, you know, if he isn't able to be healthy enough to play, like, do you think about sitting him? Probably not, because you need that playoff spot.
Because the thing is,
like, you're running a risk either way, no matter what it is.
Yeah, because if you do lose it, that's your one loss to LSU, and LSU run the table, you don't get that SEC title game. But then you do run the fact that Florida could be LSU in the SEC championship game. You could work your way back there for Alabama. But again, Alabama's strength of schedule wasn't great. They saw the only team left after LSU they got is Auburn. So it is a toss-up, and I know you got to think about that. But LSU's like the game of the year because, again, it's Alabama. So I think the committee's going to give them. Yeah,
they're gonna put a lot of emphasis on that game. Mm-hmm. I feel like, because obviously, like you said, it's a game of the century. Everyone's thinking it's going to be a big time matchup. It's going to be interesting, like you said, to see how Jones does with a full week of practice with these 3 wide receivers. This might be the best trio of wide receivers in all of college football.
Oh yeah,
and then you mix in the solid run game that Bama always gives you time at time with the defense that Bama does give you. It's going to be an interesting game, like you said. Hopefully, it's not low scoring, because personally, I like offense over defense. But it's going to be...
I don't think it will, because Alabama's defense isn't as elite as it always is, and LSU's defense this year isn't really either for...
Yeah, they just are like, we're going deep every single play. And it's amazing. They finally got a quarterback at LSU.
Yeah. And it's a scheme this year. I think it's a scheme that
maybe
really just...
Or are they running like an air raid thing now?
It's like a spread. It's like that. It's a spread.
Like air raid aspects of it, not like full on like Washington State.
Yeah,
or throwing the ball 80 times a game, even on 4th and goal from a 1-inch line.
Yeah,
5 wide.
Yeah, it's more like that, where they run the spread, some air raid. Joe Brady's done a great job with that offense, because they always have elite wide receivers, and they finally have gotten where they're using them much more.
Yeah, but that will be a must. I'm gonna absolutely watch that when I'm at work. Sorry, work.
So we're gonna wrap up the show doing our NBA preview, and we're gonna start in the Western Conference. And it all began last night on opening night, where the Clippers beat the Lakers by 112-100 without Paul George. Let me tell you something: the Clippers are the best team in the NBA. They are a better team than the Lakers. They're a deeper team than the Lakers.
Yeah, Paul George didn't even play.
Yeah, Paul George didn't even play, and they have the best player between those two teams. Kawhi Leonard is clearly, there is no debate about this, Kawhi Leonard is a better player than LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Kawhi Leonard is right now better. Currently, he's better than LeBron James. He could shoot the ball from 3 better than LeBron James. He could score better than LeBron James. And the main goal is his team has won more than LeBron James' his team has won in the last year. LeBron James missed the playoffs last year. Kawhi Leonard was the NBA Finals MVP. Kawhi Leonard is better than LeBron James, and there is no debate about it. Absolutely not. The same thing with Anthony Davis. Kawhi Leonard is better than Anthony Davis as well, and there's no debate about that either. So Kawhi Leonard is better between, yes, AD and LeBron's probably a better duo than Kawhi and Paul George, but Kawhi Leonard is better than LeBron James and Anthony Davis right now. Currently, right now, he's better, and that's why the Clippers are the best team in the Western Conference. They are a better team than the Lakers. I think they're a more deeper team. They got pieces like Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. You saw them last night. They were really good. Patrick Beverley is a really good defensive point guard, and I think the other big difference is coaching. And I think Doc Rivers is clearly a better coach than Frank Vogel. You saw it last night. The Clippers are the tougher team. They defend better, and they got the better coach, and that's why they are the best team in the NBA right now.
Yeah, I have the Clippers too, my one seed, and probably best overall. Yeah, the Clippers, and this is where I kind of go to where with this is the Clippers. I think too are a deeper team. They played 9 guys, but all 9 or the 4 guys off the bench all scored in double digits. Like when you're getting that production from your bench, you got something going for you, you know.
Yeah, Lou Williams is giving you 21. Now Lou Williams could legitimately be a starter.
He could, you know, you could probably go in for what's his name? Shamet, yeah. You know, but this team, yeah, Kawhi Leonard, yeah, I think LeBron's down 3rd or 4th now, and on the top NBA player right now, he's 3rd or 4th in my book. Yeah, and I also think that the Lakers duo, I think because we saw Davis is always banged up. LeBron's been banged up the last couple years, so I think definitely at one point you're going to see probably LeBron and AD probably miss some time. So I think, yeah, right now the Clippers are the best team, and they didn't even have Paul George, and they still put up 130 points on the or 112. I don't know. 112 on the Lakers.
Let's not forget the Clippers made the playoffs last year. The Lakers didn't.
Yeah, I think if you're the Clippers and you do play Lou Williams, let's say you wanted to play him, you know, as a starter, you have him giving you like, you know, points, instant offense. Kawhi Leonard is instant offense, is probably the best all-around player in the league. Offense, defense, anything. He's amazing at. Patrick Beverley is a definition of a nuisance. Like you saw what he does, like he plays amazing defense. Kawhi Leonard gives you amazing defense. So you have lockdown at 2 positions. I don't really see how, at least as of obviously we're 2 games into the season. We've only had 2 games played in the NBA out of all the games we're going to see this year. But I think so far what you can tell is the Lakers don't have enough like top level depth. Like you have solid players throughout, but you don't have that like bona fide number 3 player. Like
Kuzma, you could argue is, but you could argue he's not.
Yeah. It's kind of like, you know, is he going to be able to, you know, shine for the, you know, in the lights come big time? You know, we haven't really seen it yet. He has potential, obviously, but is he going to be able to? I mean, Danny Green played like ridiculous. I mean, he had 7 of 9 from 3 for 28 points and 10 of 14 overall. Do you want to bank on Danny Green getting you 20 points per game? Yeah. Good luck with that. JaVale McGee, I mean, literally is shacked in a fool. But the guy's hilarious. Dwight Howard, I'm good. Jared Dudley, I'm good. Quinn Cook, I'm good. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, yeah, I'm good as well. So I think ultimately the Lakers are going to, down the line, are going to need to get another piece.
Yeah, because
ASAP.
The Lakers bench only scored 19 points. Lou Williams outscored him.
Yeah, unless you want to play Giannis's brother,
or if you want to consider Lou Williams really a bench player. I mean, he comes off the bench, but he plays starter minutes. So I don't know if you could really consider him a bench player.
I guess you probably can.
He was like the best player in the Clippers last year.
Yeah. I mean, hasn't he won like 6 man of the year, like 2-3?
Yeah, because he doesn't. He just comes off the bench and plays starter minutes. That's why he wins 6 man of the year. That's why he wins the award.
It's kind of like how the Spurs use Manu.
36 minutes.
Like Manu probably could have been a starter.
Oh, it should have been a starter.
I honestly think it's smart though when you have a guy like that, because you can rest the guy and just give him the ball and he'll score, and you can rest your starters. You know, your starters, even though, let's say, Lou Williams should be a starter.
Exactly. So we look at the biggest threats to the Lakers and the Clippers in the Western Conference, and I look at 3 teams. I look at the I look at the Denver Nuggets. I think this team has a lot of potential. I think with Jokic and Murray being Jokic's just 24, Murray's 22. I think this team has two potential superstars. I think with what could be the potential of Michael Porter Jr. playing, I think this team could be the team. They could be a top 3 team in the way where they were the number 2 seed last year. They lost to the Blazers in the second round, but I think this team could be really improved. They could be a top 3 team in the Western Conference with the Lakers and Clippers, and I think this team could be a very good team. Also, I have to put the Rockets in there, even though I just don't like Russell Westbrook. I don't know how this. I know they played in Oklahoma State, but I don't know how this Russell Westbrook, James Harden thing is going to mesh with Mike D'Antoni. I could see this team being a team that's probably going to get to the second round of the playoffs and lose, just like they did last year. And then a team you can't count on is the Warriors. I mean, yes, Klay Thompson is out, but let's not forget who they got in the offseason. A very underrated move. They got D'Angelo Russell, who was the Nets' best player last year.
You're going to see Curry have the chance to play like James Harden in terms of just shoot the ball.
Curry will average.
I don't care.
Curry will average over 30 points a game. He absolutely will. You don't know what seed the Warriors are going to get, but if they get Klay Thompson back in the playoffs,
you want to face the Warriors come playoffs?
Absolutely not. You don't want to face the Warriors in the
nope.
You don't want to face the Warriors in the playoffs. Say they're the 7 seed and you're the 2 seed. You don't want to face them in the playoffs because I think they probably, when they're together, they could potentially be the 3rd best team in the Western Conference, ahead of the Nuggets and ahead of the Rockets. You definitely don't want to see the Warriors come playoff team when they get Klay Thompson back. Yes, of course they have 5 straight years in the NBA Finals.
Yeah, so for me, definitely the Nuggets. I know they got beat last year in Game 7 to the in the semifinals to the Trailblazers, and they got that whole core back. So I have them right now lined up as my 2 seed in the West. Definitely, because I think the Lakers, I think AD and LeBron are going to get banged up, and I think they will.
Yeah, or at least be smart to do the load management.
Or do that. So I think the Nuggets will be the 2. So I really think the Nuggets could. Another team is Utah's another team I think definitely does. With Donovan Mitchell, I think they could definitely maybe give the Clippers or Lakers, a run for the money.
That's a good point.
There'll be that annoying matchup.
Yeah.
That would just be
I think Utah might be able to, for example, they might be able to win a playoff series against a Denver or a Houston, but I just don't think they're good enough to beat like the Lakers or Clippers in a 7-game series. I like the addition. I really like that. I like the addition of Connolly. Connolly's a good defensive point guard, but he's not a great scorer. I don't think he's an elite point guard. He's a very good point guard, but not an elite point guard. I think he'll improve Utah, but I just don't think he still doesn't get them out of the second round of the playoffs. They can maybe
push them, like whatever team they face, second round, like 6 to 7 games, and just make that team's life absolutely hell.
Yeah, because they're really, really locked down defensively. They're not
a team that Justin D'Onofrio likes to watch.
What about Sacramento?
Sacramento. It's weird. Sacramento. I got them.
They finally signed, re-signed Buddy Hield. It's like just deal with that. You don't want to run into the season with the guy. Where's my contract? Because every time he has a big game, he'll look over and be like, "Where's my contract?"
Yeah, and then I heard they're already back. They already feel like they backfired on the Harrison Barnes. They don't feel very confident in that contract, and they just did that 2 months ago. And it's like, great job, guys. But
what about God? What was the center that you had that wanted to get paid?
Oh, Willie Cauley-Stein. Thank God he's gone.
So you have the Kings at an 8 seed. I don't have the Kings as an 8 team. My 7 and 8 seeds in the West are the Trailblazers and the Spurs. And I think the Spurs, even though they're an outdated team, you still in a stacked Western Conference have to have them still making the playoffs. And the Trailblazers, don't forget, they were in the conference finals last year, even though the West was as weak as it wasn't that good last year. I think the Trailblazers still are definitely going to make the playoffs. They're one of the best backcourts in the game with Lillard and McCollum. They don't have really a lot of scoring outside of that, but still one of the best backcourts in the game. And then obviously you got the Spurs too. So the West is stacked in terms of playoff team. But Justin still thinks his Kings with the Aaron Fox and Buddy Hield are going to be a playoff.
I mean, they have they have talent. Like you need to see put it together so you need to start showing something down the line because you got talent for down the line. We need to see it, down the line. I just think like right now for your top 4, I think it has to be the Clippers, number 1. I think it has to at this point. I think then you could mix in, you can mix in Denver, Houston, Lakers in whatever order, 2, 3, 4 you want. I think it's going to ultimately come down to those 4 teams. What one of those 4 teams are going to make it out, barring, obviously some unfortunate injury, because those teams are just too talented. They have too much top end talent. You have good coaching. You have, especially depth, with the Clippers. You have, like I obviously said, the 6th man probably going to win it again with Lou Williams. I just don't see how one of those 4 teams doesn't make it out of the Western Conference.
Yeah. My top 8 in the Western Conference are I got the Clippers number 1. I got the Lakers number 2. I got the Nuggets number 3, Rockets number 4, because I think there's going to be some chemistry issues between, even though they play together, I think there's going to be some chemistry issues between Westbrook and Harden, both ball dominant players. Number 5, I got the Jazz. Number 6, I got the Warriors because of Clay's injury. Number 7, I got the Blazers, and number 8, I got the Spurs.
For my West, I got the Clippers 1. I got Denver 2. I think, again, Lakers will be banged up, I think, with LeBron and AD. And then they, as we see, they don't have a ton of depth. 3 got LA, the Lakers. 4, I got Utah. 5, Houston. 6, Warriors. 7, Portland. 8, I'll give you why I think the Kings will get it. I love Greg Popovich.
You got the Spurs missing the playoffs. We're going to remember this. You got the Spurs missing the playoffs.
I love Greg Popovich. I love Greg. I got to give my King. I think this is finally the year they can get back to the playoffs. It's been since 2006. It's been a
long time.
It's
ever
been
since the Vladdy Divac, Chris Webber days.
Yeah, and I'm not a big Vladdy fan anyways. I kind of don't like him as a GM, but
just get out.
Yeah, I just want him to leave. But I think we're great. I think we're gonna do fine offensively. My concern is defensively. We're not great.
Like how 120 to 115.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of that. So it's a running good offense. We can just run and chuck. I think Fox takes another big leap. To become, that next elite, as they finally found an elite, I think, elite player besides Cousins. The first time since Cousins, they found an elite point guard. I think at De'Aaron Fox. Buddy now, as a shooting the guard, he played well. He came around last year, averaging 20. So I think the Kings do sneak in over the Spurs, but I love Greg. It's a tough. I just throwing him in there just because I don't know. But
I have literally the same thing as Steve. I'll flip flop the Warriors with the Jazz. I just think because Curry's just gonna. I honestly think Curry could be the MVP this year. I think it would be between him and Giannis. I think it's gonna be between him, Giannis and Kawhi. And I just think with Curry, you just play, like I said, he's just gonna be able to shoot all day. Just play like James Harden, shoot a 3 every possession and not live with it. And that's why I think ultimately the Warriors will be, flip-flop with the Jazz.
So we go over to the Eastern Conference, and right now, knowing how it stands, it looks like the Bucks are the clear-cut favorite to win the Eastern Conference with Eric Bledsoe, with Giannis, who's one of the top players in the game, with Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez. But you look at the Eastern, you look at the Sixers could beat them. Here's the one way the Sixers can: Ben Simmons needs to average over 20 points a game, develop a 3-point shot, and be the player that the Sixers thought they were getting with the number 1 pick. He needs to learn how to be a scorer, and that's going to be a huge key to the Sixer team, because they got rid of Jimmy Butler and re-signed Ben Simmons because they wanted Simmons to be the player that he's expected to be, and this is and they're hoping he can make up for what Butler gave them last year. And if Simmons can develop a 3-point shot, we're going to see tonight as they open up with the Celtics. If Simmons can develop a 3-point shot, there is a chance the Sixers definitely could win the Eastern Conference. If you look at the rest of the East, we'll talk about the Bucks and Sixers because they're clearly the top 2 teams in the East. I think the Bucks are better, but if Simmons develops a 3, I think the Sixers could challenge them.
Definitely, and I think it's gonna for the Bucks. The thing I think kind of hurts them is losing their I just lost his name, or not Bledsoe. I keep thinking of Bledsoe, but Malcolm Brogdon. There we go, Malcolm Brogdon. I think that could definitely be a tough loss for the Bucks.
Yeah, because he was what's that stat where he shoot 50% from the field, 40 from the 3, and 90 from the free throw line? I think that's the stat.
Like yeah, I think something.
He was one of the very few guys in the history to ever do it.
Yeah, so,
obviously it's gonna hurt.
Yeah, I know that Bledsoe coming back, but I still think with Giannis, he's the best player in the East. I definitely you can't really bet against. I bet against him right now. Yeah, and then for the Sixers, I think losing JJ Redick's gonna hurt more than they think. Because now they have 5 shooting guards. I know they drafted Zaire Smith. Now they have Josh Richardson, Myers, Tyok. I think they got and Shake Milton. I think I just said that anyway. But it's very interesting to see because J.J. Redick was that great 3-point shooter. As Corey Ben Simmons, as we know, not the best shooter in the world. We'll see how that goes. And then picking up Al Horford and now with Joel Embiid, I love that kind of big man duo right there. So I think the Sixers definitely give them a run for the money. I think the Bucks are just a little bit better with Giannis.
Yeah, I think right now the top 2 obviously are Milwaukee and the Sixers. I think Boston can possibly challenge the Sixers because it just seems like they kind of have their number. For some reason, they just play them tougher. But it's going to see because obviously I think Kyrie's a greater talent than Kemba, but is the chemistry going to work? Because it's all about the I'm saying because if the chemistry works, they're obviously not going to challenge the Bucks. I don't think they'll win, but they could challenge the Sixers though.
Kyle, I think the reason they didn't re-sign Kyrie and they got Kemba was because of it was a chemistry issue with Kyrie Irving. Because as a player, Kemba's definitely a downgrade from Kyrie. But yeah, I think because of the chemistry issues last year, I think that was the big reason why they just chose to sign Kemba and get rid of Kyrie. So, but I still think the Celtics, even knowing how weak the Eastern Conference is, are the third best team in the East. And this is a big year for Jason Tatum. Jason Tatum, the Celtics cannot be a contender in the East with Kemba Walker as their best player. We saw Kemba Walker in Charlotte. He's not a superstar. He's a very good player. He's not a great player. Just like Ben Simmons, Jason Tatum needs to play up to his. He didn't last year. Jason Tatum needs to play up to his potential and play up to what he did in the playoffs in 2018. He needs to play up to his potential and be the best player on the Celtics team and be the scorer and average over 20 points a game for this team to be a contender. And that's going to be the interesting thing with the Celtics. If he can, this team could compete with the Sixers and the Bucks. If he doesn't, if he averages under 20, does what he did last year, there's no way this team competes with the Sixers or the Bucks in the Eastern Conference. And I still think they're still the biggest threat, knowing how weak the East is. Other threats are probably the Pacers, but they're going to have Oladipo out to start the season. And then you look at the Nets. I mean, obviously the Nets would probably be right there with the Bucks if they had Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. They'd be right there with the Bucks. But I think without Durant, I think the Nets are probably like a 4 or 5 seed. I think Kyrie has a big year. LeVert's a pretty good player, but I think the Nets are a 4 or 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I think those are probably the threats to challenge the Bucks and Sixers. But I just don't think, unlike the Western Conference, I don't think these teams are really going to come close to challenging the Bucks or Sixers.
Yeah, I think definitely the Bucks be a 3, and of course I love Kemba Walker, and he always seemed like when he was in Charlotte too, he always played his best basketball in March. Going back to you, it seems like he plays his best.
It really did. It was like he got in a March Madness mentality.
Yeah, so I think especially Tatum can help him out, and now that they paid Jaylen Brown, especially going back to what they just gave Jaylen Brown for a guy who
was almost $30 million a year. Yeah, I think it was just like a hair under it.
And we can all agree Tatum's better than Jaylen Brown. So imagine what they would, give Tatum to.
Yeah. Well, imagine if you could get Kemba going, you can get Tatum going. Hopefully, Gordon Hayward maybe finally gets like the demons out of that disgusting injury he ended up having. You get Jaylen Brown. You have potential to have a pretty good,
lineup.
Yeah, for a piece right there. Problem is how much. Is someone gonna play the power forward? Because obviously Kemba's gonna be point guard. Who's gonna be the shooting guard? Who's gonna be the small forward? Are you gonna play small ball and have someone maybe like Gordon Hayward maybe play power forward and like that, or are you gonna have someone coming off the bench? Because if you just pay Jaylen Brown, like you said, a hair under $30 million, what are you gonna have hit $30 million come off the bench? No, that's
which they've overpaid. I know the market dictated the contract, but they overpaid.
But you're able to, if you're him, you're able to not think about your contract. You have that peace of mind. Is that gonna project onto the team and have confidence? You don't have to worry about that. Perform, and that's going to make your teammates better, in theory.
So my top 8 in the East, I definitely have the Bucks number 1. I got the Sixers number 2, Celtics number 3. I'm going to go, because of Oladipo's injury, I'm going to go Nets number 4, Pacers 5. I'm going to go Heat 6. I don't know why Jimmy Butler signed with them. He's going to be 1 and out in the playoffs this year.
I'll tell you why. Him and oh my God! What's their GM? I feel Pat Riley. They just have the same mentality. I think that's the sole reason. Other than that, it wasn't the best move, unless he really loves the weather.
Yeah. Number 7, I got the Raptors. Obviously, losing Kawhi Leonard's a huge loss. Yes, they won last night in overtime, but they beat a Pelicans team without Zion.
I want to see Zion.
I know. That hurts for that. I couldn't watch that game. I couldn't watch that game last night because Zion didn't play. And the number 8 seed. It's that team is going to probably get swept out of the playoffs.
Yeah, pick whoever you want to get mollywop by the Bucks.
I'll pick the Magic because I think Vucevic had a good year last year. I don't mind their core with him and Eric Gordon. I don't mind Fournier either, so I'll just take the Magic. But we all know that the Bucks will sweep the Magic out of the playoffs if they play. Yeah,
they'll get stomped.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, my top right now. So I got the Bucks, Sixers, Boston. I am going to take Toronto 4th. I know they weren't
Justin,
great.
I know, but you never know in the East.
You never know. I think they'll be all right. I liked what the Pacers did. They're my 5. I like they added Brogdon. I like they added Jeremy Lamb. I know Oladipo's out. I kind of like the talent that they added. I think they'll be, right there. The Nets at the 6, 7 Miami, 8. I'm gonna go with the Pistons because I like Drummond and Blake
from UConn.
Yeah, of course. I like my UConn boys. So
Fair enough.
yeah, that's what I'll go with my top 8.
Yeah, I think we all have the same top 3. The Bucks being 1, Sixers 2, Boston's 3. I'll go with the Pacers as 4 because I think that they'll end up getting how Oladipo comes back. I think he'll be able to play at full bore and will propel them. I think the Nets. I think I'll end up putting the Nets 6 because I think obviously Kyrie's gonna ball. He might be like the eye candy of the NBA this year because he's in Brooklyn and people are gonna see the potential for next year when they ultimately get Durant back. And then I just think, you come whoever's 7th or 8th. I mean, just pick whoever you want. They're going to get destroyed, whoever. So, I mean, I guess I'll throw the Pistons in there and I'll throw the Magic in there. But that's a 4-game series. That's not going past that. So, but I think it's going to. I just wish the East would get more depth because I think the West has so much more depth. But it's like all of the stars just go to the West.
Yeah.
I mean, even Kawhi now obviously went to the West with the Clippers. So. It's going to be interesting to see once you get to the semifinals and finals of the Eastern Conference. I think before that, the first round or 2 are going to be nothing really watch.
That's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with RKJ. For my co-hosts Justin D'Onofrio and Kyle Galuli, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week wrapping up the World Series, talking Week 9 of the NFL season, Week 10 of the college football season, and the first week of the NBA season. Have a great weekend, everybody.